Good evening and salutations, my soap opera fans, specifically my GH fans. Okay, so I've been thinking about doing this video since yesterday, but I really didn't have time to do it yesterday, and I didn't want to sit there and rush it. And normally this is the type of videos that I would do for members, but I feel like this needs to be somewhat of a PSA, because I want people to understand that the question I'm going to sit there and ask, and the question that most people have just decided to answer based off their emotions isn't as simple as it may seem, right? So Lucky's gone, right? Lucky's return, Jonathan Jackson's return, was a flop. Now, most people could sit there and say, well, this is on the writers, this is on Frank, this is on, the writers and everything like that. They didn't write him a good story, so he wanted to leave. I want people to do something. One, I'm going to leave the link to the interview in the pinned comment. I'm going to do it in the pinned comment. So, you can't miss it. There's no reason not to sit there and read it, right? Let me just tell you a little something about writers and things of that nature. They don't have as much power as you may think, right? There's a chain of command. There's people that they have to go through before they can sit there and simply approve something, right? And ultimately, what I'm basically sitting there saying is that this isn't just on the writers, if it's even possible to be on the writers. This isn't on the network or Frank or anyone else. It simply comes down to Jonathan Jackson, right? Jonathan Jackson and his availability. The reason why I'm sitting there talking about writers and it not being the writer's fault is that writers can sit there and pretty much write anything. They are just bound by what the studio, what the network, what the bosses are beholden to. But they're also beholden to the actor's availability. And when I read that article, and given the fact that he has 3 kids, he has other things, he has a poem or whatever, like a book or whatever he's doing, he has music that he does, where he is working at and where his family is at is damn near halfway across the country. He is constantly flying back and forth. And the one thing that he said that stood out in that interview was that when he decided to come back to General Hospital, in his words, was an experiment. Was an experiment. Was an experiment. So, let me just get this straight. An experiment? You experimented with what? The network's money and time? What do you mean? What do you mean this was an experiment, bro? You knew that your life was busy, right? You had a lot of things going on. Is it my imagination, or does it just seem a little bit irresponsible to come back to a show knowing that you can't fully commit to it because you are busy with other reasonable things to be busy with, right? Because let's just be honest for a hot minute, right? For the people that want to sit there and blame the writers, you didn't write him a good story. Okay, well let's just sit there and say he wrote an amazing story. Those circumstances in his life would not have actually changed depending on what they would have wrote. If they would have wrote him an amazing story, he still would have had those obligations. He still would have had those commitments. He still would have been sitting there going back and forth, right? You look at Lexi, right? What people didn't know was that Lexi wasn't really available to sit there and do the good stories. And let's just take a look at this for a hot minute. See, there's somebody else that actually put out a video. We'll call him Jabot, right? And Jabot, how do I sit there and say, fuck it. he kind of put out a video that was a little that just kind of gave out a lot of it gave out a bit of misinformation as far as availability, right? Basically, he was like, well, other people that have been doing recurring roles have had good stories and they haven't had a problem. Well, everyone's lives and schedules are a lot different. So you can't compare Jonathan Jackson to Luke Spencer to Perry Shen. I think that's the guy that played his name. Not Lucas, hold on. Brad. Right? Each person, Wally Curve and everyone has different schedules. Not just Laura, right? But Genie Francie has a different schedule, right? So even people that are doing recurrent roles, as long as you can give as long as you can give the show and the writers enough time and enough warning in advance, I'm pretty sure they can write you a good story, right? But with Jonathan Jackson, it could have possibly been different. Like I said, he's busy. He has a family and everything like that going on. He's flying back and forth. It's not as easy to sit there and schedule a good story if you don't know what the actor is going to do. It's really just that simple. So in all reality, this is the reason why I put this on Jonathan Jackson. Yes, the writing wasn't really great, but how good could the writing be if they don't know what he's actually going to be doing from one minute to the next? So, I just maybe I felt like this is more of a PSA because I've been sitting there seeing some people that have just been like they've been in comment sections, I've been upset with the writers, they've been in Jabol's comment section, just talking with their emotions and not understanding that one, Google is your friend, and two, it's not a lot of the stuff when it comes towards these actors and the show and the producers and everything like that. It's not just as simple as it just seems. Okay, it's not a simple case of the story was really boring and he just didn't want to be there, and we're going to sit there and blame the writers for that. It's a little kind of odd for Jabot to more focus on the writers being at fault, seeing how he claims to be a writer himself, and he should understand that as a writer, you're kind of bound by what you can do, right? I'll give you a little side example for people that actually did watch the show. So it's a show called Legacy, right? Last season was a really good story. It could have been a really amazing fight that could have wound up happening. Because this person has all the powers to make a very epic fight, but they are bound by the network. And if you know anything about the network, which is the CW, you know exactly how cheap and lazy, and did I mention cheap that they can be? So when I'm sitting there watching this, like this could have been so much better. Well, think about what network they're on. Now, move that to General Hospital. There's so much other stuff that's at play that I don't want to sit there and just put this on the writers. Was the story good? No. But is it really the writer's fault that the story wasn't good? Yeah, I know it sounds like a simple question, but again, there's other factors at play. And I just want people to understand that, at best, there's enough blame to go around. There's enough blame to simply go around. Anyway, I feel like that's actually about it. If I miss anything, write it in the comment section below. Um, I guess we'll talk about this tonight as well. And usual live stream time that I do my live streams. If not, I will post it and. But just make sure that nothing else, go to the pinned comment. Go to the pinned comment, read the pinned comment, and go to the pinned comment and then read the article. The article is going to sit there and just tell you what really happened, what's really going down. Google is your friend, people, and then go from there.